Book cover design is just so critical, and it could be costing you thousands if you're not getting it right. Should you be looking at outsourcing your book cover design, or should you do it yourself? Well, in this video, I'm going to discuss a few things that are so important to making your book covers successful and ensuring that you get your book covers right. Hello, my name is Romney, and thank you very much for joining me on my YouTube channel. If you haven't been to this channel before, it's all about creating, building, and scaling your self-publishing business. I'm also the creator of the Publishing Accelerator Low and No Content Publishing course, and I've also just recently launched a book cover design course, and I've got a special code for you at the end that will give you a significant launch discount special. So make sure you stick around for that code. Now, book cover design is going to be such a critical element for you to get right, because for many authors or self-publishers, they just don't get the cover right, and it can have so much of a knock-on impact for so many different things of your revenue. So in this lesson, I just want to talk through a number of key things that you need to consider when you're looking at your book cover design, and what key elements are going to be important for you to get right, because if you don't, it will cost you thousands, both in expenses because you're not getting it right, and also in revenue as well. So let's get into those things now. Now, firstly, we need to address this. The reason most people just don't sell many books is because of their book cover. They can have an amazing interior, but generally, if they can't get the book cover right, they're not going to get customers that want to click on their book and purchase that book. And book cover creation can be tricky. And I know personally that the first few books, or even the first 30 books that I created, if I reflect back on them now, they were very, very ordinary, and I can see why I wasn't getting many sales in the first 3 to 6 months of my publishing. Because if I look at those covers, they just weren't standing out. I was using the wrong font types, the wrong colors, the wrong graphics, and they just weren't looking great. So I can see now, looking back, why I wasn't selling many books. I might have been doing all the right things regarding advertising, but if you don't get the cover right, well, who's going to click on your book when it's advertised as well? And sometimes you can get some impressions potentially with your book, but no one's clicking on it. And then on the flip side, you may get no impressions even if you have a big, high bid on your keywords, and you're just not getting those clicks. So there are a couple of things you need to consider. The book cover has a huge knock-on impact for so many different reasons. Because if you don't get the book cover right from the very beginning, then the first 30 days of your book being launched is the time that you really need to ensure that you can get those sales. And if you don't have that right book cover, then you won't convert that into more sales. Therefore, it means that the keywords that you have in your title, your subtitle, and the 7 back-end keywords just won't get that ranking that's required. And the Amazon algorithm loves book sales. And that's why many books start to feature on page 1, page 2, and why your book will continue to work its way up to being on page 1 if you can get those sales in the first 30 days. But that's just not going to happen if you don't have the right book cover. Now, one of the key things is to decide whether one of your strengths is book cover design, or whether you need to look at outsourcing it. Now, for many publishers starting off, budget is a problem. And if you don't have a budget to outsource, then you really do need to consider upskilling yourself to create your own book covers. Then again, where do you start? How do you know what the correct elements are? Well, these are the kinds of things that I do like to sort of help you out to make sure that you can up your skill yourself and get the right knowledge to be able to create these book covers that will stand out. Because I feel sorry for so many different authors that spend so much time creating books and creating interiors, and they just aren't getting the traction and getting the sales that they were hoping for. And I felt exactly the same way. But again, if I look back on my book covers, they weren't very good. And even some of the book covers that I outsourced to get done weren't being created really that well. Because I was only spending $5, $10 on Fiverr to get book covers created. Therefore, those designers weren't really investing much time into the creation of my book. When I design my own book covers, I really try and think carefully about the customer and the person I'm selling that book cover to. If I think about the kind of reaction that I'm going to get from that customer when they see that book cover, is the book going to a child? And is that book going to be nice and colourful and vibrant to get the attention of that child? If you look through different book covers, you'll start to pick out common elements that are the reasons why some books sell much, much better than others. Firstly, if you can get those initial books selling via your covers, then of course you start getting that social proof, and therefore it starts to get more sales and you'll get more traction and sell. Therefore, the Amazon algorithm will like that and push the book up, as I mentioned before. But the critical elements of cover design can be challenging. And what I've done is created a short course of approximately 2 hours that actually goes through the key elements of book cover design, and I walk through the students that are in the course the exact process that I do when I cover book design. In fact, during the course, I create this book just here, and that is a book that I just started to design. It's not a real book, it's just a fictitious book that I wanted to demonstrate the process I went through to create that book. Because book covers need to, or they can be, converted into different sorts of books. So depending on the book it is, if it's a low content, say children's book, or a high content book, we can really have a paperback, a hardback, an ebook, and an audiobook. So in the course, I actually teach my students how to do a paperback and a hard book and a ebook. And I'm actually going to be looking at adding another section in that course about how to create audiobook covers. So one book can become 3, but the design can be sometimes a little bit different for some of them, and others it can be very, very similar. Now, when you're designing your book covers, the one of the other big areas that many people have problems with is the formatting of the book. And I had this issue as well. When I first started publishing, I got rejections from Amazon to say that my writing was outside the borders and I just wasn't getting it right. And I got a few rejections and it just held up the process. And so these are the things that I want to show you and demonstrate to you that it can be done quite simply. And again, what you need to work out is your strength book cover design. And if you have the budget to outsource it and get a good designer to do it, then that's fantastic. Go for it. But if you don't have a large budget and you just need to, or you actually enjoy doing it, but you need to work through the process of learning the skills and upskilling yourself for book cover design, then the course I've created might be perfect for you. And so what I'll do is talk through just 3 critical things before we finish this video that I think you'll find important when you're doing your book cover creation process. Let's now look at the 3 important considerations for when you're looking at designing your book cover. And these 3 considerations need to be considered as it'll give you direction with what you need to design. So number 1 is having a clear understanding of your audience. Who is your audience? As I say, try and come up with the avatar. Are they male? Are they female? What age are they? What demographic are they? You just need to think about what your audience is, what's going to attract them to your cover, and you need to make sure you're bringing the right elements into your cover so you know exactly who it is you're marketing your book to. Because your front cover is the opportunity for you to bring to life what the customer is going to get. And so there's so many different things that are important with knowing who your audience is. Number 2, your expertise. Do you have expertise to create book covers? Should you be outsourcing them to someone that does have it? And if you don't have the expertise, then you need to get that expertise and you need to do something that's going to upskill your ability to create covers. Even if you don't create amazing book covers from the very beginning, at least getting some experience and seeing what needs to be done is just so important. And the third consideration is your time. How long would a book cover take you to create? If you're not experienced in book cover creation, are you better off outsourcing it and utilizing your time to create interiors or to do other niche research? So your time is a commodity that we can't get back. So you need to think about where your time is best spent. Is it learning the process of creating book covers, or is it outsourcing that expertise to someone else to create what you need? And so in the course, How to Create Book Covers Using Canva, I run through 4 key elements of book cover design. And these 4 key elements I go into depth with the course, but let's have a quick look at what they are. So firstly, it's the graphics and getting those graphics right on your cover. It's the title and how that stands out. Is it attractive to the customer? Is it meeting their needs of what they're looking for? The font type will elicit different reactions, so you need to make sure that it's legible and people can read it. And then number 4 is you're utilizing the space. You're given a certain amount of space on your cover. You have to use it all. Don't limit yourself with that space. Make sure that it's nice and clear, and think again about the audience that you're creating your book cover for. And so here's a very quick snapshot of the contents for that mini course I've created. So I'll talk through the critical elements and what elements make a great cover design, the book formatting and tools we can use for book formatting. Then we go into depth about book cover design and how we design the cover with Canva. We look at the final proof and getting the book cover ready for print. And then I show you different ways of doing book mock-ups as well to make them highly professional. Now, if you do this course, remember that you don't need to be paying for a paid account using Canva. You can use the free account, and I cover that off in the course as well. And to finish with, I just wanted to highlight the launch special that I have at the moment. So there's 2. There's one on Thinkific. So I'll provide the link in the description, and that's actually going to be $8.99 for the next 7 days. So you save $31 off the launch. Off the course price for the launch. And then there's also the Udemy launch special. So that's going to be $9.99 for the next 72 hours only. So that ends on March 15th, 2022. So you'll save yourself $30. And the course launch special code is called launch-special. And that's that information will also be noted in the description. So I do hope that this video has provided you with some direction around book cover design. Now, as I mentioned during the video, one of the critical things is determining whether you're going to design the book covers or get them outsourced. If you do decide to do the book covers yourself, whether that because you enjoy doing it or because you're on a limited budget, just make sure that you do plenty of things to upskill yourself to get to know the elements that are critical with book cover design, because it makes such a huge difference. And as I've mentioned, could be costing you thousands of dollars if you don't get it right. But if you do get it right, it could be thousands of dollars in your pocket in extra revenue through book sales. So make sure that you work hard on getting your book covers right. So remember to take advantage of the launch special that I have, depending on when you watch this video. But thank you very much, and I look forward to creating more information and providing with more content later on. Bye.